Brock Purdy struggled in his return. Like I'm just gonna say it. In 11-on-11s, I believe that he went 2 of 9 according to Grant Cohn, and he threw a pick six. So we hadn't discussed it yet. I think last time I was sort of questioning what Brock Purdy still was going to be like with his arm, like how he was going to be able to throw a football. And based on like all the footage that was at training camp today, he looked normal, in terms of like just him throwing the football. If you told me he never got injured, I would probably believe it. But he was going against the first string defense, of the 49ers today. And also he hasn't been, practicing. He didn't participate in OTAs. He didn't do, rookie minicamp, none of that stuff. It I think it's just one practice. We'll see how Purdy progresses, but I do kind of have this idea that Purdy might struggle this offseason because, I mean, even Jimmy struggled against this defense. You're facing the number one defense in football. We'll know more when the pads go on, but I mean, 2 of 9 is not good. And you could try to, cut him some slack because he's coming off that injury, but I know for a fact there's a section of the fan base that is not willing to cut that same slack for a guy like Trey Lance. And it's just, just sort of try to judge the guys on an even playing field, because I understand that Purdy also, I mean, he earned the QB1 spot this, he earned to have it going into the offseason. This is a new season. If we see that Trey is clearly playing better or Sam is clearly playing better, I don't envision Sam's going to play, better. But if we see that one of the guys is clearly running the offense a lot better, I think Kyle Shanahan owes it to himself and owes it to whoever it is to play them. Because you could argue that Brock has earned the job, and you can also argue that Trey hasn't been given the proper opportunity. I think both are true. But if Brock is going to be struggling every day, don't use last season he was just phenomenal as your only measuring stick in order to pick your starting quarterback. Because if you're always going to be thinking about the past, you're not going to be looking at what's going to give you sustainability, and you might ruin something that you might have with one of these other guys for the future.
Right. Yeah, I do agree. I do want to take it back because the other thing that we hadn't gotten to note yet, because we've been doing these podcasts every week or 2 weeks, and I think just for reference, when the regular season comes around, I think we're going to start doing it for sure weekly, if not maybe multiple times a week. But
yes,
we haven't even got to note that Brock Purdy just got greenlit to even practice and get full. Is it full contact? Well, quarterbacks probably don't do that, but
they don't do contact in training camp. But he's fully cleared to practice.
cleared.
Yeah, he's fully cleared to engage in all practice activities. The only thing is that he is going to be on a pitch count. So he is going to have about I want to say it's 2 days of throwing, 1 day off, or it might be 2 days off, I guess, depending on, how much is needed. But yeah, I guess that's what they had. John Lynch said that's what they had set, as a part of his rehab or whatever. Like that was the plan all along. So that's what they're going to follow. But in terms of team drills and everything, he's one of the guys. It's it's go time. It's competition time. You got to be fighting to earn that spot.
Yeah. No, I think like I've said a couple times, this is the opportunity for Trey Lance, and I think the way I look at it is if Brock Purdy goes out there and earns it, he actually earns it, like you said, if it's just because last year he was so good, that's bullshit, right? But if he goes out there and he's clearly better than Trey Lance, I don't see Trey Lance getting another opportunity with the Niners unless Purdy gets hurt again, but right now, because of how Purdy's on a pitch count and whatnot, and just the fact that there's this little scent of uncertainty because of his injury and everything, and it feels like this is still a position battle for the starter, which it should be. Um, Trey Lance has that opportunity, and that's what he deserves for sure. And the right decision should be made based off of what is seen through training camp, practice, and the preseason.
Mhm.
And even the regular season. I mean, come week 1 or 2, there might be a different starter in week 3. You never know.
Yeah, especially knowing this team, there might be a different starter every single week.
Yeah.
But
So
one thing I will say is Trey Lance does have a golden opportunity to really assert himself. He really needs to take it over. Like he really needs to come with a high energy. I heard all the quarterbacks struggled today, so it wasn't just Brock that struggled, but it seemed like nobody on the offense except for Brandon Ayuk played well. And then I think maybe Deebo Samuel, I forget. But Trey, this is your opportunity to assert yourself. I don't care if you like Brock. I don't care if you don't like Brock. This is your career. This is your opportunity to prove to not just Kyle, but the guys in the locker room that you want this. It was understandable when you were nice, coming in like,
well, it's
or as a
whatever's best for the
rookie.
team.
Yeah, as a rookie, going against Jimmy Garoppolo in practice where the Niners were pretty upfront that Jimmy was going to be the guy and they were still going to try to make a run, which I mean didn't make sense to me, but it makes sense why you would be a little bit more timid and not trying to overstep, especially because you're one of the rawest quarterback prospects to ever come out of college. I think they should have thrown you in so that way you just started getting the reps and it would have been justified because it's like, you know what, in 2020 they didn't do very good and they drafted you right after that season. So it would have been like, it would have been justified like, oh, maybe you drop a couple games here, but it's no different than what it was last season. You could have gotten your reps then, but Shanahan botched that, just to keep it a buck. He botched that. And in 2022, he used you incorrectly and he used you as a battering ram. And now you're here. You and Brock are both healthy. This is the chance to compete in training camp. Who is going to win the job? Right? I don't buy this whole, Sam and Trey are competing for quarterback 2. I think they should all be competing for quarterback 1. And honestly, if they're all going to struggle and they're all going to be scared to make plays in training camp, then this is going to be a terrible thing for all the quarterbacks. But typically, competition is supposed to bring out the best in everybody. So I hope that Trey understands. I hope he comes with the intensity that I think that he can. And if he doesn't, and you know what, we have to go with Brock Purdy. I hope what Brock showed last season was sustainable. As Mr. Irrelevant coming in, I hope that he was just, the diamond in the rough that everybody thinks that Brock Purdy was. And I just want a Super Bowl. Okay. And not only that, I want an elite quarterback. I'm tired of the quarterback excuse. Oh, we would have won if we would have had a better quarterback. I'm tired of that. But you know what? Whose fault that is? It's Kyle Shanahan's fault. That's John Lynch's fault. That's both of their faults. Because they had opportunities to get a guy like Tom Brady a couple years ago. They had opportunities to, trade for Deshaun Watson or, use their draft capital to really go all in with Jimmy Garoppolo as quarterback.
Or just draft Deshaun Watson or even
draft
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. No, and they didn't. And ever since then, they've been trying to play catch up. They built the roster and now they have an established locker room and they are trying to find a guy that fits when typically you want to find a team that you can, you want to build a team around a guy.
Yeah. That's what I want for the Raiders. So,
and then where I get upset too is at the fact that in these training camps, Brandon Allen, the 4th string quarterback, has also been getting reps. He's been taking, I want to say Brock threw 9 passes in 11 on 11s. Trey threw like around 7 passes. Sam threw like around the same amount. Like and I want to say the day before it was like just barely double digits. Trey needs reps. What the hell are you worried about Brandon Allen for? If you're down to your fourth string quarterback, I'm sorry, Kyle, you can't use that fucking excuse. I mean, dude, keep them healthy. Instead of preparing for the fourth guy to take meaningful snaps, how about you just prepare the lineman to protect the quarterback, or you prepare to call plays that won't put your quarterbacks on IR? There's no reason why Brandon Allen should be taking away reps from, meaningful reps from Trey Lance or, Sam Darnold, especially Trey Lance, because he's the rawest quarterback prospect ever. He played 17 games in FCS.
Yep.
He has the physical abilities, but he needs the muscle memory. He needs all the throws he can get. He needs all the opportunity to excel in this offense.
Yeah.
So,
I'll
in terms
say
of
this.
Brock,
Sorry, really quick.
No, go ahead.
You brought up the point of like, there's a rumor, whatever you want to call it, that Darnold and Lance are competing for the 2 job. As if Purdy's just got the number 1 job locked. Which, if that's the case, that's again bullshit. It should be that they should all be competing for QB 1, 2, 3, right? They should all be competing for the entire lineup. Like, they should be competing to see, okay, who is our 1, who is our 2, and who's our 3.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the 4th guy is going to be on the fucking practice squad, so who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah, the 4th guy's not going to make the team, but Kyle Shanahan thinks that there's a chance Brandon Allen makes the team. So who's the odd man out? Is it going to be Trey? If Brandon Allen makes it over Trey Lance, oh my God, what a disaster.
Because there's no way they can cut him like that. Financially, I don't think they could.
They might trade him to the Falcons.
Yeah, but again, I don't see that for the Falcons. That the Vikings make more sense to me. The Jets make more sense to me. A team with an old quarterback that's, towards the end of their contract. But the thing that I can see making sense for Shanahan, and it's not to like say that he would be right or anything, but based off of the circumstances for Trey Lance, he hasn't had much time to play in the regular season for Shanahan. And that's due to injuries and, whatever else, right? It's still peculiar to me that, he was the week 1 starter. Was that last year?
Yep. Just this past year, they're like, he's our guy.
Yeah. So it just, like, he is a guy like that, right? But I guess my point is, he only got a week and a half, if that, to play for the offense for Shanahan. And before that, it was like not much actual play time, So I just think if Shanahan thinks, I've seen success from Purdy in this system, and I haven't seen that from Trey Lance yet, I understand where that's coming from. But still, it needs to be a full-blown competition. It should not be, oh, this guy's clearly got the right of way to the path to number 1 because, oh, he's played and he's succeeded. It should be, yeah, he's done that, but let's see how it goes this year,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have on that.
Yeah, I just think that, oh man, you're the clear number 1 and number 2, in my opinion, the way I see it, number 1 would be Brock Purdy right now, and number 2 would be Trey Lance. Just because, 1, Brock Purdy played well in this offense just this past year. So he's earned that job for now. 2, Lance at 2, just because you've invested so much in him, and he should be your project, and you should be following through with that project. That should not have changed because you drafted him knowing that he's going to be a project. If you drafted him knowing how raw he was and you were surprised that he wasn't ready to play or that he wasn't ready to be an elite level quarterback, I'm sorry, but that's stupid, right?
Yeah.
There's no way professionals in this industry should make a monumental mistake like that. that's a fireable offense. But they haven't been fired because the team has still been successful. Any other team, the owner would have fired, whoever,
Mm.
because or maybe this. I mean, no, this isn't the last chance for Kyle and John. There's no way they could miss the playoffs and they would both still have their jobs.
Most likely. I mean, maybe John Lynch gets the axe as the whatever you
But they
call
still
that.
have Adam Peters, and apparently Adam Peters is pretty involved. But I digress.